everyone, I am Loki616 and I am here with the mighty quest for epic loot. Now, I will be doing an impressions video and a sort of like, not an Infiltrates video, but kind of, because it's still technically in open beta. But it is mostly done, but there are a few things very seriously missing from the game. Specifically, the ability to rebind your keys. Now, this is a pretty serious issue to anyone who's played any like Diablo or Path of Exile, which I've been kind of obsessed with for the past 2 weeks. I've stopped playing that for a little while because I was like, well, there's no point playing because the Sacrifice of Vaal is coming out in a week now, so I might as well just play then. That'll be fine. Let's see what else is on. I've played, in the last 36 hours, I've played 20 hours of Mighty Quest for Epic Loot. It's not a fantastic game, it's just very addictive. But as I say, there's the problem with the fact that you can't rebind keys. And to a person who's played any Diablo or Path of Exile, you know that running around mobs and being unable to just like run past them to get a better position on the important things at the back, say, you're going to have issues. So let's switch over to the game here, and you'll see if we go into settings, options for video is reasonable. Options for sound, it's there, I guess. Yeah, I mean, what else do you really need? Gameplay, yeah, there's this. So you can tell it what you want it to pick up, and you can tell it to activate a profanity filter. That's it. Now, this is obviously, as I say, a fairly serious issue, but some very clever people on the French-speaking forums have figured out a way of changing this, and I found a translation of it last night, and then I kind of stopped last night, and like, oh yeah, I fixed the problem. Woke up this morning and went, I haven't fixed the problem. The problem is now, what I'm going to show you in a minute is how to adjust your key bindings. I'm saying adjust. You can change where every one of your abilities goes, but you can't separate move and attack. They are always on the same button, and believe me, I've tried everything. I've tried swapping round the mouse buttons on the Windows settings so that it thinks that the right mouse button is the left mouse button, for designed for left-handed people or people with weirdly strong middle fingers. And I've tried to, I tried that, and then I tried messing around, just changing the config files, which I will take you into so that we can actually do our adjustments in a minute. None of it works. So the fix I've got at the moment is an iffy fix, and I will tell you how I've set up my way of doing it once I just demonstrate how I've got it working. I'll show you, how I've set it up and how you can set it up the same, and it's, reasonable. It's not perfect, but it's reasonable. And then, if you don't like it, I'm also going to show you first off, I'm going to show you the very general way of how to change your key bindings, just in general. So, let's run through this castle here. Now, I'm just, and it's bugged out. Yeah, yay. As I was just saying, bugs. Okay, so that was just a left click. I'm just holding down the left mouse button. But if I hold down my left mouse button or click over here, it doesn't. I also want the ability to be able to just shoot. So let's just shoot, shall we? Now I'm holding down the R button here, so I'm just sitting here firing. But at the same time, I want to be able to click on mobs and not attack them, or rather, not accidentally click on mobs and end up attacking them instead of running away from the far deadlier threat that's standing right next to me, which is what I'm doing now, just by pushing spacebar. Now you've still got, all of your active abilities, so your right mouse button still does that, whatever you've stuck on the right mouse button, but I have also changed what keys are my other abilities. So instead of, say, 1, that's now on Q, 2 is now on W, and 3 is now on E. And I've also changed, you can see it above the potion, I'm not going to click it because they're kind of expensive. I've changed the potion button to be number 2, because I play a lot of League of Legends as well as Path of Exile, so I wanted it in the same positions that I'd set up before. Right then, I'm going to exit this game, and I'm going to show you how to sort this out. And the music should go away now. There we go. Right then, I'm going to have to do this relatively quickly because obviously the music stops my headset from turning off, which is where my mic is attached. Okay, so we go into the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot, right click on it, Properties, Local Files, Browse Local Files. Now, the guide that I read online on the forums basically said you need to search for 2 files. You need to search for usersettings.json and customusersettings.json. Do not do the user settings. You want custom user settings only. If you do user settings as well, he's the guy on the forums basically said do both of them, fix both of them how you want them. It gets really, really aggravated. The game just doesn't like it. At the launcher, it just stops you getting in from the game until it does like a full search of its files and then goes, right, that one's wrong, and changes user settings back to its original. Custom user settings remain the same, which means we will probably eventually be seeing in the game a way of rebinding your hotkeys, and hopefully it's even more in depth than the way I'm about to show you. So you can search custom user settings. Otherwise, you can go through, where is it? Game data, config, game, and then custom user settings. Okay, so if I bring up what it looks like originally, oh, you can see I've been doing some things here. So, yeah, to anyone who hasn't done any coding, it can look a little bit daunting. To people who have done coding, you look at it and go, right, so what's my, what sort of thing should I be looking at here to make this make sense to me? Basically, ignore the heading. That's for other things. That's so like audio, ambience enabled, true. And then is window maximized, false, because I play on full screen windowed. And that's, those will change, that sort of thing. Min hero item quality pickup. But not big issues. Next, what you want to look at is directed ability. Now, these are what allow you to stand still and shoot. They will force you to stand still and do any of your abilities or fire, which is still linked to the left mouse button, unfortunately. Now, you can obviously change these. I have in my Final Cut. But you've got to remember that the key numbers are kind of squiffy. So let's open up this image here that I've got. This is an AZERTY keyboard with the keys numbered by their sort of shortcut, as it were. Not their shortcut, but their identifier. Now, I did sort of go, what, AZERTY? Surely I want that picture for QWERTY. You don't. Sorry, I'm just going to close this down so it's not getting in our way. You don't, because because the positions are exactly the same. You look at your keyboard and you go, right, Q is actually where A is, obviously, so the number I want is 20. Boom. Also, the image is, this is the best image of a keyboard you can find with the numbers in it. I've looked. It's tricky to find a better one outside of, say, textbooks or anything like that. So keep using this. I will link this in the description below. I will also link the original forum post, the translated forum post. So you can have a look there, and he tells you basically what to do. But I'm just going to run through it now with you anyway. So, like I say, also it's AZERTY because it's Ubisoft. And they're French speakers, and apparently AZERTY is fairly common in French speaking. I did not know this. I just thought the whole world used QWERTY, except for, different, people who don't have Latin origins to their languages. So you learn something new every day. Anyway, So you find your numbers. So for example here, I want my, third ability bound on to, my first ability bound on Q, which is where A is, so I use the number 20 when I'm, inputting for my first ability. But we'll start off with our own standing still and shooting thing. So you go down to directed ability in here, keyboard shortcuts, and I've used the number 21, which is R. So I'm gonna click R and sit still and fire. Now, in the original versions, you can do this with spacebar, which is, something fairly useful. Also, the left control key does it as well. I don't believe the right control key does it, but I certainly didn't want to take my hand off the keyboard to test that. So directed ability, keyboard shortcuts, and then just change it. So I'll bring up the original here. So directed ability, keyboard shortcuts. So it adds 225, which is left control, and 44, which is the spacebar. We can see the spacebar here, but 225 isn't particularly on that picture. Anyway, so you stick, your open curly brackets, key in air quotes, air quotes, I love it, in quotation marks, comma, colon, 21, and then dash modifiers, blah, blah, blah. Copy paste is your friend here. Just copy, that section, or even just go, boom, I've now changed that. This is my original copy, so I'm not going to change it in case I accidentally save it. So you boom, and then type in the number of the key you want to use, and away you go. Now you're going to stand still if you hold that key. Also note that if we want to say move without attacking, which we definitely want to do, I'm going to get back to the abilities in a minute because they're fairly important as well. So if we go move without attacking, you can see here it's on 224. I don't know what button that actually is. I think, looking at the keyboard and the fact that control was here, could be Alt. So if you want to try clicking Alt while you're running around, especially considering that your front fingers have to be on 1, 2, 3, and well, not 4, but 1, 2, 3, and then Q for your potions, and then you want to try and click Alt as well. My hand is contorting right now. I'm trying to do that on my keyboard. I know my keyboard isn't like the most fantastic, but I kind of like the idea of my fingers being either on or near the keys that I'm going to be using. So I've just completely forgotten all about that, and now move without attacking is on spacebar. And what I'm going to do is just hold down spacebar the entire time I'm in a dungeon. Because if you click R, it overwrites the move without attacking. Now note, even though it says move without attacking, what it should actually say is do not attack while moving. This is not a way of making you move to where your mouse is pointing. Believe me, I tried changing this so that it was on, say, the left mouse button, and then tried changing attack so that it was on the right mouse button, and oh, it was so fucking complicated, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work. So do not think that you can change this and change it. And the thing that says attack above here, the attack, that doesn't work either. It was there was a controller shortcut in here that I took out while I was editing, which I can probably find for you. And the idea is for that's for if you've using a controller instead of using a keyboard. I will continue playing with this. If I come up with a better solution, I will obviously tell you guys. If any of you guys come up with a better solution, please tell me. But as it is, I'm going to be running around dungeons, pushing spacebar, because if we go down to move without attack, I've set up key 44, and key 44 is the spacebar. So I'm just going to be holding down the spacebar, and then when I do need to shoot, press R, because standing still and forcing yourself to shoot is a lot nicer than taking the taking your hand off of the, you know, move, and then trying to click on the target. Whereas what you really want to do is just keep your hand on the, you know, spacebar and then click something else that means that you're going to stand dead still, because you don't want to accidentally run into a mob. You don't want to, you know, fire at something and then find out actually you're hitting the wall. I mean, it's really bad in Path of Exile because your character will actually move around the blocking object to try and get an angle on what you're aiming at. I mean, at least the Mighty Quest doesn't do that, but at the same time it doesn't do that, which means that you're going to hit the wall a few times before you realise, and that can be annoying as well. Or it'll go, oh, you want to think your, you know, cursor isn't exactly over this, you're not going to quite hit it. But then again, if you weren't holding R while doing that, you'd be running towards the mobs, so you don't want to do that either. So this system, I think, is pretty good. If we go back up, let's go and do the abilities now, because they're the only other thing that needs to really change. Okay, so we go to ability 1. That was originally on button 1, so it would have had key 30 here, and we can actually go in and see that. So key 30. I play League of Legends. I would much rather have that, and it's a much nicer position. Your hand is stretching so much less. Like, my hand actually feels natural with my thumb on the key, on the spacebar. I mean, it's a lot closer to the natural typing position. I mean, had I been thinking about it, or not have played like 2,000 hours of League of Legends, I would probably have put them on the next line down. So on what's here Q, but is to you know, QWERTY users A, I would probably put them along here. If you typed more than you played, say, League of Legends, that's a pretty good place to put them, because that's where your fingers want to rest on your left hand. That's, you know, F is literally your index finger, so those 4 keys are perfect for that if you're a typist. So have at that. Ability 2, again the same. Changed it 26 because obviously the numbers aren't linear. Don't ask me why, I don't know. I wasn't there when they created keyboards. Again, the controller shortcuts is for if you're using a handheld controller. I've deleted a few of them, so I pretty much couldn't use a handheld controller anymore. Yeah, you might want to be careful about that. I don't know what the controls are like on a controller, so I can't say if they're absolutely awful or if they work fine and you should probably just leave them alone. I don't really know. Anyway, so ability 4 is where it gets slightly interesting. Here is where we have the action tied to our right mouse button. Now, I did, again, as I say, try and change the mouse button so that at least one of them would be just move, and the other one would be just stand still and attack. Didn't work out. But this is if you want to stick something else on another mouse button. If you've, say, got one of the razors with all the buttons down the side, or if you've got just a thumb button, you can stick your pots on that. Maybe that would be pretty good. Pots is ability 5, by the way. So if you want to like copy, paste that into mouse shortcuts, do be wary though that if you're using the mouse button, don't accidentally paste it into keyboard shortcuts. I did that earlier and was like, why isn't this working? This should be working. Yeah, paste it into mouse shortcuts. It does actually make a difference. I was a little bit surprised. I just sort of went, oh, it's a shortcut. It'll go, it says mouse button. I will read the mouse button. It doesn't. It goes, where is the keyboard? And yeah, so as I say, ability 5 is your pots. And I think that's pretty much it for like things that you may want to change that will be fairly important to you. Now, I will point out that what I've done is bound things to 26 and 8, which for me is W and E, and for AZERTY users is obviously Z and E. Those buttons were originally, now I'm just going to take you to the original version of the work. If we go right down to the bottom, we go orbit game camera right. key 8. Ah, so I could use my third ability and suddenly be spinning around the room. I deleted those. That was just, what I did. I deleted them. If I want to rotate, I can either click on the screen. There's a portion of the screen that allows you to rotate, or I can, find a decently quiet spot and use either of the other two ways, which are, I think they are, so like your arrow keys down here, and there might be another set on the keyboard somewhere. You'd have to look at the numbers. I really can't be bothered. Yeah, so that's, something that you should look at. I don't know if it does. I didn't want to throw up on my keyboard, so I decided not to try and find out. So yeah, I mean, you could put those back in a regular place. So like if you had your fingers on Quer, you could then have the next two down below, E and R, so D and F. You could have those as your spin round the room buttons if you wanted to. That would be a pretty good thing. I might do that later, just so that you've got something to, an easy way of rotating, because line of sight is obviously quite important in this game. Right then, so we've changed all of our shortcuts. They all work fine. Now we go save as. I like going in save as because it makes sure that it's going into the right place, and then you save it. Now you can type .json at the end to make sure, but it will, so you click save. Normally it says, it will be saved as .json. Do you want to overwrite it? But whatever, it's fine as long as you make sure it's save as it's saved as .json as opposed to .text. See, look, it saved it as a text document there. That isn't what I want. I want it .json. So I save it. Yes, it already exists. Yes, replace it. Boom. And then you go back and play your game. As I say, if you change user settings as well as custom user settings, it throws a hissy fit and then just changes user settings straight back to its defaults after about 5 minutes of extra download time, where it fixes itself, or it thinks it's fixing itself, despite the fact that you've changed it on purpose. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. And I will just say again, if anyone figures out how to do this slightly better, I would love it if you could tell me. And I will obviously add it on to the end of this video and put it back up or something. Yeah, I think that's all that really needs to be said. As I say, I will be doing a few videos on the Mighty Quest. I might even stream it. I don't know. It's kind of a good game for just sort of messing around and burning 12 hours at a time. This game is really addictive. And I don't know why. It's not spectacular. It's a decent game, but it's really addictive. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, folks, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one.